Good morning, Weather Weenies. It is Tuesday, October 8th. Let's do a Milton check-in. What this storm has been able to do in a very short period of time is near record breaking. It's not exactly, but it's very close. I just want you to take a look at this progression from 65 mile an hour winds to 180 yesterday. A lot of people asking me like, wouldn't that be Cat 6? No, because I'll tell you what, once you have winds over the 155, 160 mile an hour threshold for Cat 5, it's catastrophic and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These winds are equivalent to an EF4 tornado, something that lasts minutes and is utterly destructive, but can last for hours. Now, having said that, I'm telling you that so you can respect the storm, but it has weakened and it hopefully will continue to weaken. It is not going to be making landfall as a Category 5 storm with 180 mile an hour winds. No, thank God. If you are on coastal Florida and you're going to stay put, please remember if you have an iPhone to update to iOS 18 because it actually uses satellite messaging in case of an absolute emergency. In the last little bit I'll cover about yesterday, the eye was yesterday 3.8 miles wide. Don't forget for this last one, it was almost like 40. So hurricanes come in all different shapes and sizes. This one, as of right now, is tiny. It is going to expand, but knowing 180 mile an hour winds sustained, gusts over 200, fourth strongest hurricane ever recorded on this side of the globe. Hurricane Milton has tropical storm force winds about 105 miles away from the eye right now. Don't forget that when Helene came through, that was closer to 300 miles, just to give you a size comparison. This is going to bump up, and I'm feeling a lot more confident about a landfall location this morning. A lot of forecast model consistency and guidance, and basically Tampa or areas just south of Tampa being where the eye is going to make landfall. This will be making landfall as a major hurricane. That's probably going to be a Category 3 or 4 storm. Everywhere that's in the red is under hurricane warnings. Anywhere that you see blue is tropical storm warnings. Once this passes over Florida, it's going to continue. Once it gets on the Atlantic coast, it's still going to have hurricane strength, but then it is going to die out to a tropical storm. We're looking at a sort of middle of the night, 1 a.m. Thursday landfall. This is the intensity forecast, so this is putting landfall about the 36 to 48, right between hour mark there. So definitely making landfall as a Cat 3 or 4. Obviously, we're hoping for less, but just still know this is still a major hurricane. The reason it's weakening is, one, just enough of it passed over land, the Yucatan Peninsula, where that always has a little bit of dying effect on these storms. They hate the land. They don't do well over land. Second of all, it's in an environment of more wind shear. It's gone through an eye wall recycle, and there's going to be some dry air coming in behind it. So there are a lot of things that are working in our favor to help reduce the severity of this storm just in time. So let's talk about that landfall location forecast. So definitely expecting, this is a very small distance in miles. Right? It's less than 50 miles from, say, Clearwater to Sarasota. Anyone who remembers Hurricane Ian, the biggest concern was that it was headed for Tampa, and the orientation of this bay was of utmost concern because this was going to be the motion of the storm, which was going to fill this bay with water and was going to cause tremendous flooding around here. That's still a significant concern here. So definitely hoping for a landfall that's further south, more like Sarasota, Venice type of location, I think could totally be prime and would be a much better situation than landfall being more like Clearwater or St. Petersburg. Now that's just where we're expecting the eye wall, the center of that storm, which is typically the most severe part of that storm to make landfall. But the impacts are going to go far beyond that. Here are the storm surge forecast maps. So we're looking at 10 to 15 feet right there in that stretch that I was talking about. And that's, definitely where we're expecting the eye to be. But south of there, you're going to have those continue basically all the way as you get down to the Keys. And we also see the effects up a little bit to the north as well, but they drop off in severity a lot quicker, right? Like this distance here is much shorter than that distance. Also note that now they have added storm surge warnings up here because remember, I've been telling you guys for a few days as the storm crosses this way, it's going to be pushing storm surge and rain here along this part of the coast. So really the only part that is spared from storm surge is really the southeastern corner. Otherwise, this is going to be a serious concern. I know you just had some bad storm surge in these locations from Helene. This may be worse. Don't forget, you can go to water.weather.gov. Any of those squares are forecast. Anything that is purple is forecast to reach major flood stage. So if I go ahead and click on the little one you see there, you get these graphs with it. So this is the Althea River at Riverview near US 301, showing you the record is 9.4 feet and you are forecast to get 12.9. Don't make me Asheville this all over again. You can go right here and take a look and see this is how we knew, because these take into account the elevation, what's happening with the water. There's expert hydrologists that work behind the scenes on this that understand how much water is going to be coming in, and they give pretty good estimations as to what's going on. So go to water.weather.gov, click on any of those purple boxes that you see, because those are forecast to be really, really bad. And you can see exactly when and where you are expected to reach your worst floods stage. This map shows the probability of tropical storm force winds. If you're yellows, oranges, or purples, you're going to just have to expect winds 39 miles per hour or greater. Hurricane force winds are definitely going to be felt from like Clearwater to Cape Coral easily, especially along coastal areas. Now, we talked about the bay here in Tampa. Also keep in mind this bay down here, it may be filling up as well, especially if the storm goes a little bit further south. If the winds and everything line up just right, you could have a lot of flooding problems around that bay as well. If you live in this location, Hurricane Ian is still probably very much on the forefront of your mind. You remember it. Take what happened with Hurricane Ian and its impacts and move everything north like 50 to 75 miles, and that's going to be what you can expect. So places like Clearwater, Tampa, St. Petersburg, that eye was forecast to come your direction and made this right turn and went much further south of you than expected. And you guys were let off the hook a lot last time, which was great. I don't think that's going to happen this time. You're going to feel much more impacts than what you did from Ian. Then you're going to feel that in this storm. That should also hopefully translate to slightly less awful conditions for Fort Myers, Cape Coral, places like that. But do not let your guard down. This is still a major hurricane that's going to be approaching that direction. All along that southwestern Florida Gulf Coast, you are going to see rain, you are going to see tremendous storm surge, and you're going to have strong winds. If you are within a few miles of the coast, because some of these storms can make water pretty far inland, and you don't know your elevation, go to whatismyelevation.com and type in your address, and it will tell you. And then find where you are on that storm surge map. And if your elevation is anywhere near or especially less than that storm surge forecast, you need to go inland. And you don't need to evacuate to another state. You don't have to drive hundreds of miles or anything like that. You just need to move inland a couple miles to get to a safe elevation. This is the flash flooding risk forecast over the next few days. That purple is the highest level of flash flooding warning and guidance that they can give. And that's because easily 12 to 16 inches of rain are going to be falling in those locations. And I know you guys already have saturated soil there. The water only has so many places that it can get absorbed into and run off, and it can only run off so fast. When this storm makes landfall, it's probably going to be about 300 miles wide, which once again is about just, a little bit under how long Florida is long. So it's going to be a much bigger storm. The eye's going to open up a lot. It's probably going to get to 30, 40 miles across, where right now it is 3. So just know that has a large effect on how landfall happens. So Port Richey to Venice needs to anticipate having the worst of the wind speed conditions being right there in the eye wall. And then anywhere south of that, definitely going to still experience storm surge and high winds and all that. But that's kind of the area that I would focus most within at this time.